We're getting close to Tu B'Shvat. A few people asked, what's the source? Where do we see that there's something significant, certainly on the level of celebration? You can imagine the stores are having Geschmacka time, selling all the delicious fruits, especially the 7 species that Eretz Yisrael has been blessed with. What's the source? Where is this all coming from? So, in Shulchan Aruch, Siman Kuf Lamed Aleph, it says that on Tu B'Shvat you don't say Tachnun. Okay? Now we all know that's already an incredible simcha for some people, not to say Tachnun. This year, we don't even have that, because Tu B'Shvat comes out on Shabbos. So what's the big deal? The Mishnah explains, why don't you say Tachnun? He says, because it's Rosh Hashanah La'ilonis, and the minhag by Ashkenazim is to take fruits. So notice, first of all, that this minhag actually is by Ashkenazim, not by Sfaradim. The Kaf HaChaim does say that some Sfaradim also do it. Today, it became much more in the Sfaradim, and they have a whole Seder, beautiful Seder, which is a Kedai to print out. You could go to h.com, print it out. My family has a great time doing it every year. Usually it's my wife leads the Seder. Chance for the women to lead the Seder. It's fun. And you go through the 4 cups of wine, different colors, and the different fruits, and what each fruit represents. It's beautiful. But the question is, what exactly is the source? Now, the Magen Avraham does say, this minute comes from Tikkun Yisachar. The Bnei Yisachar says that this is a very auspicious time to daven for the Esrog. The Esrog that you're going to have on Rosh Hashanah, on Sukkot, you daven for it now. In fact, my good friend Yitzi Paris is selling them now. You can get a good price, a good rebate if you order it now. Kedai. Now, let's go a little bit deeper. I want to share with you a beautiful insight from the Rav Kook, Zichrono Livracha. So there's a minhag in Eretz Yisrael to plant trees on Tu B'Shvat. Now, says Rav Kook in his beautiful language, poetic language, that the cheshek of Netiyas HaIlonos, this desire, this yearning for planting the trees, expresses the investment in the next generation. And he says, and it's mostly emphasized in a carob tree. As the Gemara says in Maseches Tainus, the story of Chonim Agel, how he fell asleep and 70 years later he's waking up. And the lesson that the Gemara there says is that sometimes we do things and the actual reaping of the fruits is not experienced until 70 years later. One generation or two later. So first of all, what we could take away from Tu B'Shvat is an incredible concept called investment, that you will not see the fruits right away, but doesn't mean it's not there. And if you want to see how deep this concept is, Rashi says that the reason why Tu B'Shvat is a deciding factor between last year's fruits and the next year's fruits is because this is when the sap starts going up and the budding begins. The flower drops, the budding of the fruit begins. The Yerushalmi says the reason why Tu B'Shvat is the day is because anything that has budded before Tu B'Shvat was being nourished from the rain of last year. Anything past Tu B'Shvat is budding from the rain of this year. Now, if you think about it, that means that something that's budding before Tu B'Shvat has been waiting since last year's rain. The rain was in the trees somehow, in the soil, and the entire process. What that tells us, as we know, Chazal likened, and the Torah likened, the tree to human beings. Human beings are supposed to learn lessons from the tree. How many times do we feel like we've done something and we don't see the instant result? What we call in this generation instant gratification. And we have to know, especially when we're investing in our kids and in relationships and in everything else, it takes time. So that's one lesson that a person can take. Ki Adam Eitz HaSadeh. The Yesod is of Tu B'Shvat is to take as many lessons as we can from the concept of the tree and how it relates to human beings. That's what all the Holy Svarim said. I'm going to add one more. We had in Maseches Baba Basra a story of a person named Eov. Eov had friends. The Gemara says he had such good friends that it's better to die if you're not going to have friends like Eov. What does the Gemara mean? The Gemara tells us that his friends, his three friends, were able to come when he was in a troubled state exactly at the same time. How were they able to do that? So the Gemara says because they had crowns on their head. Each one had a crown with three faces of each other, meaning the friends had of the entire group of friends. And when someone wasn't doing well, there would be like a discoloration in the picture, very similar to what they have today. These cups that when you put hot water, it changes color. Now, the Gemara then says that there's another pshat. They had trees, and trees that represented each other. And whenever someone wasn't doing well, one of the trees would start to wither. So it hit me. Rabbi Daniel gave me, I think, a pshat. I think that the Chazal telling us, you know what it means to be a friend. You know what it means to care about someone. Is that number one, it's in the Kesser. Kesser represents consciousness. It's always on our mind. We care, we think about another person. Number two is we care about their tzmicha, how they're doing, how they're growing, how they're sprouting. That's a friend. That's someone that cares about someone else. So if we're going to look at the trees and we're going to look at the fruits, number one, it's kedai. You're going to daven for the fruits. It's a lot to speak about and to think about. But one of the things we can think about is this concept of Eov and his friends. Eitz Asadeh, the idea that we're here to invest in others and we care about others and we care about the hatzlacha. And even if we don't even reap anything from it, if it's our children and our grandchildren, Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, the Chazal say that the first thing the Rebbe did in Eretz Yisrael, in the land, was plant trees, and that's why there's an Indian when you come into Eretz Yisrael to plant trees. Have a great day.